Alexander Ivanovich Marinesko was a Soviet naval officer and, during World War II, the captain of the S-13 submarine, which sank the German ship Wilhelm Gustloff, with recent research showing that over 9,000 died when the ship sank, most of whom were civilians fleeing the advance of the Red Army. Early life: born in Odessa, Marinesko was the son of a Romanian sailor, Ion Marinescu, and a Ukrainian woman. His father had fled to Russia after beating an officer and settled in Odessa, Russifying his name to Ivan and changing the last letter U of his surname to O. Alexander trained in the Soviet Merchant Navy and the Black Sea Fleet, and was later moved to a command position in the Baltic Fleet. He was promoted to lieutenant in March 1936 and advanced to senior lieutenant in November 1938. In the summer of 1939 he was appointed commander of the new submarine M96. When it entered service in mid-1940, it was declared to be the best submarine of the Baltic Fleet. Marinesko was awarded a Golden Watch and promoted to captain lieutenant in 1940. World War II: after the German invasion of the USSR in June 1941, the Soviet Union became engaged in the Second World War, referred to by Soviets as the Great Patriotic War. The Soviet High Command of the Baltic Fleet decided that the M96 should be sent to the Caspian Sea to serve there as a training boat. But this could not be realized because of the German blockade of Leningrad. On February 12, 1942, a German artillery shell hit the M96, causing considerable damage. The repair required more than 4 months. Because of the long inactivity, the level of battle training of the crew was low. Marinesko began to find consolation in alcohol, and he was expelled as a candidate member of the Communist Party. During a patrol near the Finnish coast, on August 14, 1942, Marinesko spotted the German heavy artillery barge SAT-4 Helena. He launched a torpedo and later reported that he had observed the sinking of the barge. In 1946, the barge was turned over to the Soviet Baltic Fleet as war prize and it was found that her displacement was not 7,000 BRT as claimed by Marinesko, but only 400 BRT. Then Marinesko exposed his submarine to real risk by prematurely returning without any warning to his base. Soviet patrol boats attacked M96, and a tragedy was avoided by sheer luck. In October 1942, M96 had to disembark a commando detachment on the coast of Narva Bay. Its task was to attack a German headquarters and capture an Enigma coding machine. Although only half of the unit returned, without the machine, Marinesko had performed his task successfully and was decorated with the Order of Lenin and promoted to captain 3rd rank. He was again admitted as a candidate member to the Communist Party. In the beginning of 1943, Marinesko was appointed commander of the modernized submarine S-13. Of the 13 units of the Type S, Series 9 and XBs, only this boat survived the war. Leaving the base in the Finnish town of Hanko in October 1944, S-13 took position near the Gila Peninsula, where the main German communication lines passed. Marinesko soon spotted the small transport ship Siegfried, and launched 4 torpedoes, which all failed. He surfaced and opened fire at the ship with his cannon. He reported 15 hits and that, as a result, the ship was sunk. He stated that the displacement of this ship was 6,000 BRT. In fact, the Siegfried was hit severely, but managed to reach the harbor of Danzig. Wilhelm Gustloff and Steuben after spending New Year's night 1945 in Hanko with a Swedish woman, the owner of a restaurant, Marinesko disappeared for several days. It was proposed that he be court-martialed as a deserter, and this could be fatal for him. Moreover, fraternization between Soviet citizens and foreigners was not allowed. But the commander of the Baltic Fleet, Admiral V.F. Trabutz, realized that in such case the S-13 would not be operational for a long time. Therefore, Marinesko was sent on a new mission to prove his abilities. Marinesko left Hanko on January 11, 1945 and took position near Kolberg on January 13. During the next few days his submarine was attacked several times by German torpedo boats. On January 30, 1945, the S-13 attacked and sank the Wilhelm Gustloff. the Wilhelm Gustloff was evacuating civilians and military personnel. Of the nearly 10,000 people on board fleeing the advancing Soviet army on the Eastern Front, there were between 5,400 and 9,400 casualties in the sinking of the Wilhelm Gustloff, making it the single worst maritime disaster in history. The vast majority of both legal and military opinion consider this a tragedy of war. Days later, on February 10, Marinesko sank a second German ship with 2 torpedoes, the Steuben, this time carrying mostly military personnel, with an estimated total number of 4,267 casualties. Marinesko had maneuvered submerged for 4 hours, following the enemy by sonar. He was convinced that the target was the light cruiser Emden. Marinesko thus became the most successful Soviet submarine commander in terms of gross register tonnage sunk, with 42,000 GRT to his name. However, Marinesko was not awarded with the Hero of the Soviet Union title. His commanders refused to trust reports regarding the scale of the hits. In addition, he was deemed a controversial person, not suitable to be a hero. Instead, after the hits were confirmed, he was awarded the Order of the Red Banner. Marinesko felt personally insulted, and when staff officers came to present him the order on his submarine, he gave the order to submerge her. During his next mission from April 20 to May 13, Marinesko did not conduct a single attack, although he was sent to an area with intensive enemy ship traffic. This mission was evaluated as unsatisfactory. According to the brigade commander submarine captain first rank Kernikov, Marinesko had many occasions to detect enemy transports and convoys, but by improper maneuvering and hesitation to approach for attack could not. Command submarine in position unsatisfactory. The commander of the submarine did not try to seek out and attack the enemy. As a result of an active operations commander submarine S-13 did not fulfill his mission. Post-war, on May 31, the battalion commander of the submarine high command submitted a report, which indicated that the commander of the submarine spends all the time drinking, is not engaged in official duties, and his continued presence in the post is inappropriate. On September 14, 1945, Order 01979 was issued by Commissar of the Navy N.G. Gustloff, which stated, for neglect of duty, regular heavy drinking and domestic immorality, the commander of the Red Submarine S-13, Red Submarine Brigade of the Baltic Fleet, Captain 3rd Rank Marinesko, Alexander Ivanovich, to be dismissed, downgraded in military rank to lieutenant and placed at the disposal of the Military Council of the same fleet. From October 18, 1945 to November 20, 1945, Lieutenant Marinesko was the commander of a minesweeper T-34, 2nd Division Minesweepers, 1st Red Banner Brigade, trawling Baltic Fleet. On November 20, 1945, by order of the People's Commissar of the Navy, Order No. 02521, Lieutenant Marinesko was transferred to the reserve and retired. From 1946 to 1949, Marinesko was a senior mate on ships of the Baltic Shipping Company. In 1949, he was appointed the deputy director of the Leningrad Institute of Blood Transfusion. In 1949, he was sentenced to 3 years in prison on charges of squandering socialist property and imprisoned from 1949 to 1951 in Busan. In 1951 to 1953 he worked as a surveyor with the Ongor-Ladakh expedition, and in 1953 led a group of the supply department at the Leningrad plant Maison. Death. In 1960, Marinesko, by then very ill, was restored to his wartime rank of Captain 3rd Rank and granted a full pension. He died in Leningrad after a long and serious illness on November 25, 1963, and was buried at the Bogoslovskoye Cemetery in St. Petersburg. Legacy. Marinesko was awarded the title Hero of the Soviet Union posthumously, in May 1990, on the occasion of the 45th anniversary of the victory in Europe. At about the same time, the Ulitsa Stроителя in St. Petersburg was renamed in his honor to Ulitsa Marinesko, located in Kirovsky district, connecting Avtovskaya and Zaitseva streets. The submarine museum in St. Petersburg was named after him, and monuments dedicated to him were erected in Kaliningrad, Kronstadt, and Odessa. He is one of the more prominent characters in the Gar 1/4 Entele Grass novel Crabwalk, which describes in detail the sinking of the Wilhelm Gustloff. Honors and awards: Hero of the Soviet Union, 2 Orders of Lenin, 2 Orders of the Red Banner, Medal for Military Merit, Medal for the Defense of Leningrad, Medal for the Victory over Germany in the Great Patriotic War 1941–1945, Medal in commemoration of the 250th anniversary of Leningrad. References. External links: Hitler's Most Hated Man.